Because I hadn't read Gab, because I had a cold and been under the weather, I'm now looking at it, and the last two audios we just did were just basically from me looking at Gab and saying, holy Lord. Now here we have Bobby Kennedy. I love this. Breaking news. RFK Jr. says, RFK Jr., a total drug addict who had to be in drug rehabilitation for 20 years, was it? So come on. If you're listening to this guy who promotes vaccines but now has been chosen to stop vaccines, then something's seriously wrong with that picture. He says he plans to tell the CDC, a public-private corporation that can't be audited by us, and they're immune, and the people who sit on the vaccine committee own the vaccines. CDC owns the vaccines created by the money given by we the people to NIH and pharmaceutical companies. CDC members, there's a committee that determines what goes on the childhood schedule, right, for vaccinations. They get the funds from that. They get the profits. It's just like when Hillary Clinton joined the Walton family board. She should have been put in jail for being a communist spy, because that gave all of our manufacturing over to China and others. And she literally is on the board. And so Walton family became rich because of Chinese products, because Hillary Clinton's on their board and said that they're a most favored nation trading status. And even when they poison us, when they send us radioactive materials and things for children, like the strollers they're radioactive, folks. How can you ever trust China? Anyway, so here we have Bobby Kennedy, who is a complete fraud. And I've told you this before. The only reason that he started fighting vaccines is because he was mad at his sister because she got the appointment to one of these major pharmaceutical companies and he didn't. And so he started a campaign. Well, his campaign was nothing more than taking the research on Asperger's and autism syndrome spectrum and demonstrating that it is caused by vaccines. Well, who the heck didn't know that? Okay? And then he would say all the time, I'm for all vaccines. I just don't think that they had gone through the proper vetting. Okay? So now he comes up and says, oh, I love this one. Well, we can't use VAERS as a way to test whether or not the COVID vaccine was in fact safe. Well, folks, they took down the VAERS information a long time ago after we started talking about it every day and pointing out that it was completely conflated numbers, total nonsense, and it proved that millions were dying from it. And they blamed it on pneumonia. I've told you these stories many, many times. So sorry, don't get your hopes up with these imbeciles. Read what they're saying. He's going to recommend to the CDC that they stop using fluoride in drinking water. It's not fluoride, folks. That's a lie. It is a byproduct that is a deadly poison. You'll see a skull and crossbones on the containers that have that. Let me think of the name of it. It's a mix between it's the byproduct of chlorine mixed with hydrocarbons, and there's a long name for it. But nobody will ever tell you the name of the poison they're putting in almost every single city water supply in America. It's been proven 1,000,000 times by people getting sick, by tests, by universities. The universities tested this at one time when they said, oh my, look at city water. So they took Detroit city water, they analyzed it, and what did they find out? By the way, Detroit city water comes from Lake Huron, some of the cleanest water that is in any system anywhere in America. And what did they find in it? Every virus and illness known to mankind, as well as every pharmaceutical drug, as well as poison, graphene oxide, all the things I've told you are in it, and nothing has been done. So Detroit, it was literally Wayne State University, turned around, took samples from like 50 major cities and found the same thing in all water supplies in all major cities that they looked at. And as a matter of fact, Detroit's was cleaner than most of those others. So sorry, don't get your hopes up. Just don't drink that water and realize that our government is poisoning us on purpose. Another thing I found on Gab is I'm still not caught up, and if you don't read Gabriel's Horn on Gab, Tyla's site, folks, you're missing out on probably 75% of the news. She has a team of people all over the world sending her this stuff. It takes her just minutes to know more than you can find anywhere else on any news network, alternative or not. Okay, so here we have. This is making reference to the fact that they've done nothing to close NPR and PBS. Okay. Let me please describe to you what this is about. Voice of America was started as part of the OSS to convince Europe that the British-American alliance, in French, against World War II was in fact what would you call it? Honorable. It was they validated their depopulation and their war through propaganda. This is Tavistock Institute propaganda, Frankfurt School ideology, and it runs through a thing called the Global Engagement Center now. Well, they changed the name, and they said they stopped that because that was all British propaganda that controlled our elections. Now, NPR, PBS, 100% demon rats, 100%.
Always has been.
And they still work through the Global Engagement Center because they are propaganda. They are literally legal propaganda. The National Defense Authorization Act, according to in Obama's time, and the Patriot Act in Bush's time, allowed the government to propagandize American citizens because all of us are considered war actors until otherwise proven different. That's the reason that they can spy on all of us legally. And propagandizing us is completely legal. And it literally says right there, both in the first Patriot Act and the American, what's it called? Obama changed the name so it sounded even better and made it much, much worse. Basically, they can propagandize lies, and they say that all of this, the only thing they need to align with is the current administration in the White House. It literally says this in the law repeatedly. So whatever the White House says, they can brainwash the American public with. So NPR is that, PBS is that, all mainstream media is that, and everything you hear coming out of D.C. is nothing more than theater. It's nothing more than lies. And it's like Jim Jordan don't forget that Jim Jordan has recommended many people for prosecution. Never happened. The DOJ did not respond to him, and he knows that's going to happen. He does it because he's trying to be the new leader of the House. Okay, so he has to look like he's a big hero. He's not going to make it because why? He's a liar, he's a cheat, and he's a fraud. We sent him the Miller Act notice. We know for a fact that he received it and nothing happened. When he makes these recommendations to the DOJ, does he follow through? No. Does he hold them in contempt of Congress? No. Have you ever seen anything good come from a congressional hearing? No, it doesn't happen. This is really, really bad theater of the absurd, that people waste their time with this. They even created, remember, a whole network where they broadcast what was going on in D.C., and no one watched it. No one wants to watch the lies. A child could know they're lying. And then I see next thing on Gabriel's Horn, or it's Gabriel underscore Horn. Don't forget the underscore. So, U.S. Representative John James announces campaign for Michigan governor. Buttigieg announced he wants to run for governor, or at least he's considering it. Folks, what's going to happen with Gretchen Whitmer if these people are running? She's going straight to the top. She was supposed to be the vice president. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that. Why? Because she showed herself to be one of the biggest fascists in America. Oh, yeah. Period. Mm-hmm. Fantastic liar. We caught her stealing so much money out of her office, through her office and through her financial dealings.
And along with Jocelyn Benson, who's our Secretary of State, and this Dana Nessel, we saw all of the corruption and the election rigging with them.
As well as the representatives from Dearborn who are Muslim terrorists. And I'm terrorists because they fight against the U.S. Constitution. How can they not remove Ilham Omar, which isn't even her name, from Congress when they know of her corruption? They know of her election corruption, of her theft, of her marrying her brother, of cheating to get into the country. She is not a citizen. How is she in office? Because, folks, the corruption's so bad that all they do there is look the other way when they see corruption because they think, this is one of ours coming in to join us.
Oh, wait a minute. Kristi Noem was in Congress while Ilhan Omar was also in Congress. So surely Kristi now, as Homeland Security Director, would know that Omar is not a citizen, and she would have to send somebody out to get her. Isn't that her job? I mean, or is she only tasked with getting the lower level people and not the high ones like Marco Rubio or Kamala Harris?
Just like the rest of the female bimbos that Trump has on his cabinet, Kristi Noem is here. I'm looking at a picture on Gabriel's Horn of her holding a weapon, having been in the military and trained in all of this stuff. I can tell you this woman's an idiot. She's never held one of these weapons in her life. She's pointing it at the man next to her.
She's pointing it to his head.
You never, ever, loaded or not loaded, ever point an assault rifle at a military person. They'll kill you. They assume that you're either an idiot and you could accidentally kill them, or that you're going to kill them, and so they would shoot you. When she dresses up in her bulletproof vest and leaves her hair down, doesn't she know that her hair is going to get into her weapon? She's carrying an assault rifle. What's she going to shoot people? No, not going to happen, because she didn't know how to even make the rifle work. She didn't know how to hold it. She didn't know what it is, and she's holding one of the most sophisticated ones you can get. It has every capacity you can imagine. I'm sure she doesn't know how to use any of them. So what is going on here? You might think Tyler's being a little bit harsh on these women, these bimbos. These bimbos, they have never been hired to do their job. Their only job is for appearance. That's why Trump hired them. Don't you get that? It's all appearance. He didn't expect them to do anything. And so therefore, is anything going to happen? No. Did Kash Patel, who became Trump's last and only friend, even after John Radcliffe stabbed him in the back, Trump tried to still act like John Radcliffe was his friend, or the Devin Nunes, who has turned out to be a complete idiot because of what he has done and going over to Truth Social and so on and so forth? No. This is all for show. This is a charade. This is nothing more than a picture for you to look at. It's just visual brainwashing, because Trump knows, like everyone should know, most people are visual. They don't hear any words you say because they're not smart enough to understand them and to sort through the lies, whoever it is that's speaking. And so they look at appearances. Ooh, look at Kristi. I'm going to go back. I'm looking at Kristi. No, yeah, I'm very, very impressed. Every time I see her, she's with a whole bunch of men. She's acting like she's military, and she does nothing except she just announced that it's illegal to enter the country illegally. She just announced that. Isn't that great?
Isn't it great? And her lips and everything. See, women out here, we know how much time a person like her spends in getting that look. So she needs to also turn her resume in, or take that little presidential pop quiz, just to say that she has the merit to do the job.
Her fingernails won't allow her to use that weapon. Her earrings you can't have on when you're holding that weapon.
Military.
Your hair can't be down when you are holding a weapon. It will clog up your weapon if you try to use it, and no one will take you seriously. And I was in the military when they had this big rush, and I was in combined services because it was the NSA, National Security Agency, and we had all branches there. And so we had all the WACs and the waves and all these women, right? Yeah. I can tell you, frankly, I've never worked with a woman in the military who was efficient. Most of them come in there to be near the men, get pregnant, and leave. That's what happened. I witnessed this because I was in Fort Devens for years, which is another it's all the branches, multi-branch service training center, right? And these women dropped out at a rate of 80% because they got pregnant. Because when they got in there, they found out it was too hard, so they got pregnant and left. Isn't that just incredible? Well, guess what? This is exactly what's happening throughout our entire government. We have allowed the lowest common denominator to enter in, and we can't question them because of, virtue signaling, and because, what's the other word that they used to use, that you had to be politically correct? No, you don't. The leaders of America have often been extraordinarily politically incorrect, and certainly they never gave merit to someone who didn't have it in the past. Now you get all the merit in the world by just simply walking in, and you look like you're part of DEI. So remember, Bondi is only there for appearances, and she will only say, and notice all of his cabinet members, except for Stephen Miller, and he's not a cabinet member, is he? He's the chief of staff. All of them only repeat Trump's words because they know that he defanged, defrocked, declawed, and completely destroyed the inner system of intelligence that was working against him in his first administration. Doesn't everybody notice that? Read his first acts. His first acts were executive orders changing the way the whole system works. He makes the decisions, period. Oh, by the way, on my test, who determines tariffs? Who determines treaties? Who determines... all you'd have to ask is a few questions, and these people in politics will fail because they believe the brainwashing. Eventually, they became brainwashed by their own brainwashing. And so these people actually believe this stuff. These judges believe things that are insane. It's not even possible unless their brains are demented.
National civics test.
Yes, for any politician in any state.
But that's maybe down the road. I want to see this happen to the government workers right now.
Yeah, the
We
Fed.
need to know who's working for us.
And
Only give the test in English.
Yep, and then eventually, when you close down, but save us $35 trillion, would you please, Mr. President? Close down the U.S. Federal Reserve. They're the ones who are the ultimate promulgators of propaganda for economics, and economics controls the world now because there's no more morality. There's no more true religion. I mean, look at the Pope, the Holy Roman Emperor, Pope. He's the worst. That man is responsible for the death of millions. So everything is opposite of what it's supposed to be. So let's just go ahead. For instance, let's give the Pope a test. Mr. Pope, is Jesus, Mohammed, and who's the other one that he said? Jesus, Mohammed, and I forget. He basically said all religions are the same. They're all the same God. You fail the test, you're no longer the Pope. You're not even a Christian, and you don't believe in Jesus Christ. He said that. And that's the reason he tried to rewrite the Our Father. That's the reason he's done these insane things. So we have literally, in religion and politics and economics, the worst people at the top. And it all started off with fake monarchies. Now, I was just arguing with someone online about the Germans. This person tried to tell me that I was misquoting Steiner. Well, that's not what you want to do with me, okay? I fought the people who were fighting against Steiner for a year on the internet and took everyone down. So this idiot comes up out of nowhere and tells me that I don't read German and that I have the wrong translation for the word plasma. And I'm like, okay. So I just ripped him to pieces. And during it, this German tried to tell me that we English people, it's because of our language that we're so stupid. That our language makes us stupid. But if you're a German, their language makes them smart. So I pointed out to this person, I don't even know if they're real, I think they're probably a troll, that the Germans have done nothing ever that wasn't an attack on everyone around them, considering themselves to be superior to everyone else. Let's remember that the German monarchies are Viking. They're not German. I mean, does anybody know history? Obviously, this German person trying to argue with me, supposedly, doesn't know their own history. But why? Because in World War I and World War II, and right now, for instance, the head of the European Union has now said, oh, yes, we'll go to zero tariffs, and we are raising $800 billion to illegally start standing armies. And it's not starting. They already have over 150,000 standing army joined with Germany and France recently. The new Nazi running Germany said, we're breaking that agreement with you. We're not going to send our troops into Ukraine, because he's smart enough to know that that's stupid. You'll lose. And Russia was always their friend. Russia was with us in World War I and II. The majority of oil that was running Europe was coming from Russia, okay? And so now what has Russia done? Russia has put sensors on all of the underground oil pipelines and natural gas pipelines to see who's blowing them up. Well, they'll find exactly who that is. It's called the British. And so why would they do that when they're closed? Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, they were blown up, okay? It was a military attack. So why are they doing that? Because they know they're going to go right back to where they were before when this stupid Ukrainian money laundering scheme is over. Now, will it be over soon? No, it will not. And by the way, what I told you before, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what Putin was going to do. I told you Putin, he made an agreement, a ceasefire. And so the whole world told ceasefire. Trump got a ceasefire. No, he didn't. He got a ceasefire from doing what? Blowing up infrastructure and pipelines, because the Russians know they're taking that land. And I've told you from the beginning, they never once bombed a pipeline in Ukraine. Why? That's the cream. That's their cream. That is the icing on the cake. That is their wealth. $86 billion a year coming from Europe to Russia. And they want to consider them an enemy and hold them to a NATO treaty, which is nothing more than propaganda, the Atlantic Council, which we've told you all about that if you study our work. Okay, so even the head of the European Union, who just the other day basically sounded like she was going to go to war with Trump, literally, and then said that she was demanding $800 billion to create a standing army, and they were going to debank their own citizens to create this army to start a bigger war with Russia. The person who provided, 45% of their grain, 65% of their oil, and that was just through the pipelines. A lot was coming in other places. They can't live without Russia. And China can't live without us. Oh, by the way, I hadn't seen that my brilliant wife on Gabriel's _horn on Gab, pointed out, I didn't know this, I've been a little bit laying in bed.
I know you're making up for telling me to shut up on that other video, but no, I know I got a little out of control.
I'm not telling you to shut up. I appreciate it, especially when you yell at me, because you're usually right, and then maybe I can change. But she posted that Trump just came back after China raised their tariff to 101%. Oh, that's just so funny. I can't even believe it. So what did Trump do? And I did the statistics for you. I did the math for you. He raised it so that we would still be 104% tariff. So we still get a 3% tariff on China. So if China doesn't want to come to zero because they tried to go above us with their threat, and by the way, it's a threat. They can't do without us. Not one day. We don't have to let them through the Panama Canal anymore, folks. We don't have to let them come into our ports anymore, folks. Because why? We know that they're shipping all kinds of horrible stuff to us, poisons and everything else. That's it. Just right off China. I'm done with them. Okay, but what did I tell you? Everyone will go to an equivalent tariff, which will be basically 0-0, or in this case, China wanted to charge us 101%. Trump trumped him. 104%. So they're not going to win. Some of Canada provinces have already crumbled and said zero and apologized for saying they're going to go to war with us. You see, they believe, our enemies all around us believe that if people in our own federal government can attack Trump illegally, so can they. If they can lie and accuse Trump of everything, being a rape. I love people who say he's been proven to have raped 13 women. That was the Pussy Hat March, which they literally had the biggest lies I've ever heard told about any particular individual. So that's what they see. They see from a distance that there is lawlessness here, so they're going to be lawless. They see that it's an economic gutting of America. Well, they want their peace. Matter of fact, who was it that just said, I think a couple of different African nations, and again, it's on Gab, just got through saying, get the hell out of our countries. We know, and how come you've never heard this before? We know that every time you try to tell us you're helping us, it's the CIA trying to steal from us. For you and the Brits and or other. And then China came in and they started taking up that. And they went to all these countries, bought up all the resources, made deals with them. And literally, as far as I know, they've reneged on every single deal. Every single deal done with China, they renege.
But all that, and Douglas and I have lived through it, through all of those years, America was still strong. Look what we have done. Even though we've been ripped off and it's corrupt to the core, think about what's going to happen when we are finally free of the British rule.
Also here on Gab, Trump tells Bibi, the godfather of his child, it doesn't say that, I added that. Trump tells Bibi he might not reduce tariffs on Israel. We give you $4 billion a year. Why is he saying this? Because Bibi made up nonsense and reattacked Gaza after Trump had basically calmed things down and said, don't worry, we'll get Gaza for you, Israel, but we're also getting it for Egypt and Jordan and anybody else who goes along with my plan to stop this war. Because why? It's great beachfront property. I intend to have a really beautiful hotel there, Trump is thinking. So he turns to Bibi, who came over to say, first country, zero tariffs on you, zero tariffs on us. Yeah, right. What does Trump say now? Nah, I'm considering putting a tariff on you. In other words, he's bitch slapping him for his recent activities. First off, that he's been caught so many times with his oil corruption, and he still isn't through, I think, 3 of the 4 trials. They've been put on hold because they say he's the only one who could defend Israel. Nonsense. And so Trump is now bitch slapping Israel. So it isn't Israel first. It's Trump first. And it isn't America first. It's Trump first. I just hope that Trump, in his firstness, takes into consideration we the people. And so that we go not with America first as it was, but America first as it was designed.